Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It will be good if we all also join in chanting the Mangalacharan of this text, which Guruji has selected from the vast amount of verses. This is verse number 1, Mangalacharan. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Okay, so we have been seeing in this Yoga Vasishtha SAARA. This is SAARA means the essence, called by Puja Guruji, the essence of this Yoga Vasishtha. And how exactly it begins? Well, it begins with Bhagwan Ram developing a great disaffection, dispassion for the world after a pilgrimage. And now the sage Vishwamitra has come there to ask for Bhagwan Ram to go and protect his Yajna. And Bhagwan Ram himself objects to going, saying that unless he understands or gets answers to his questions, he himself doesn't want to go. And in the beginning, what happened? There's an echo coming. In the beginning, the sage Vishwamitra himself tries to answer some of the questions put by Bhagwan Sri Ram, but then he passes over to the Kula Guru, who is sage VAASISHTHA, and it is there all the teachings begin. But the crux of the matter we saw last night is in verse number 8. Let us chant from this verse number 8 again, and then we'll continue from there, because I told you this is where Vedanta really kicks off. And it says here, please try to repeat after me. Yatha janasi bhagavan
Yatha janasi bhagavan
tatha moha nivrittaye
Tatha moha nivrittaye
Bruhi me sadhavo yena
Bruhi me sadhavo yena
Nunam nirdukhatam gataha
Nunam nirdukhatam gataha
Sadhavaha moha nivrittaye. The sadhus, or the great seekers, spiritual aspirants and all, they bring an end to this moha and nunam nirdukhatam gataha, and reach that state of freedom from sorrow. So I told you in beginning of Gita also, our Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, this is why Bhagavan Shri Krishna is giving Gita to Arjuna, and Arjunam nimitti kritya, making Arjuna as a medium. He is speaking to all of us to remove what? Shoka moha. Shoka moha nivaranam. Shoka moha nivaranam is the goal of our life actually. And in Ram Gita of Ramayana also, Lakshmana is asking questions to Bhagwan Shri Ram, wanting to remove this only. Shoka moha nivaranam. Removal of shoka and moha. And I told last night how they are all related also, both of them. Shoka is the effect. Shoka, sorrow. Dukkha, which is given here, is the effect. And the cause is moha. So if we remove the cause, the effect will be removed. You see, you can remove effects temporarily. You can remove effects temporarily until you remove the cause, or you can perhaps overlook the effect or forget the effect or something. But that will always be there. It will again rise. Until you remove the cause, the effect will never go away. So these are the two very important words. Bhagavan tells, Hey Bhagavan, O great sage, you know janasi. So bruhi me, you tell me how the great seekers and rishis and sadhakas, how they removed this shoka moha. This is the idea. And Bhagavan Ram concludes now in number 9 and 10. Now see this together. Swayam chaiva na chapnomi tam vishrantimanuttamam
tam vishrantimanuttamam
tadaham tyakta sarvehuha nirahankaratam gataha nakinchidapi vanchami dehatyagat rite mune maunam evavatishthami lipikarma svikarpitaha lipikarma svivarpitaha Hey Mune, O Muni, Bhagavan is addressing the great Vishwamitraji. Na kinchit api vanchami. I don't want anything else. Swayam cha eva na chapnomi tam vishrantim anuttamam. If I do not myself attain this supreme state of peace, rest, me tadaham tyakta sarva iha nirahankartam gataha, who have dropped all desires and cravings and all such things, and who have renounced all things in this world. If I do not attain that supreme state of enlightenment, in short language, supreme state of enlightenment, I don't want anything else except dropping this body. If I don't reach that state, maunam eva vatisthami, I will remain quiet, and lipikarma svivarpitaha, means I will remain like a picture, painted picture. I will do nothing. So Rama's final words to Vishwamitraji, that I have totally renounced this world and all desires for anything. I don't want anything except the dropping of this body. If I don't achieve that supreme state. So actually this is called mumukshutvam. In the verses as we are coming down also, you will see elements of sadhana chatushtaya. Viveka, Bhagavan observed on his path as he was going to the yatra, he observed and he reflected, and that observation and reflection gave vairagya. Vairagya. And then all the other things also, control of the senses and everything is there, because he was quiet, he was pensive, thoughtful, ruminating all the time. Control of the senses were there. Everybody was wondering what happened. You see? And now the last, that mumukshutvam. I want to achieve that. Otherwise, let me just stay. I will just drop the body when the time comes. Bas. I want to achieve that supreme goal. So all sadhana chatushtaya is also being demonstrated in the whole chapter. So that brings us to the end of this one chapter. Rama's state of mind. And this is really the state of mind of a proper sadhaka. That's because sadhana chatushtaya. The sadhana which is to be done by a sadhaka. Look, observe, discriminate, and develop vairagya and all the other samadhi shatka sampattihi and mumukshutvam, isn't it? So this is the qualifications of the sadhaka. Now, Vishwamitra ji is also taken aback. Rama is speaking like this. He is the incarnation, Lord of the universe. He is speaking. So now in the first verse of the next chapter, see. Vishwamitra uvacha
Vishwamitra uvacha
naraghavatavastanyat
naraghavastvastvanyat
Jneyam jnanavatam vara
Jneyam jnanavatam vara
swayeva sukshmaya buddhya
Swayeva sukshmaya buddhya
sarvam vijñātavanasi.
Sarvam vijñātavanasi.
Hey Raghava, Vishwamitra ji is addressing Bhagavan Ram. Natava asti anyat jneyam. Jnanavatambara. You are already the knower of all the highest knowledge. There is nothing left for you to know. Vishwamitra ji is telling to Bhagavan Ram. Swaya eva sukshmaya buddhya sarvam vijñātavanasi. By your very subtle buddhi, sukshmaya buddhya, by a very subtle buddhi, you have already come to know everything. This is actually a very, very strong statement and very wonderful statement. So please pay attention to this. By strong buddhi. I tell you, really, sometimes we say that some knowledge has to be revealed by Shastra. We say that there is some knowledge that has to be revealed by Shastra. But when we say Shastra, we don't mean necessarily some written book. Because please remember, Shastra is that which contains all knowledge, like the Vedas is that which contain all knowledge of the universe, isn't it? Knowledge about everything, that is Vedas. And the knowledge is just caught by rishis. The first ones who were there, they did not have anything written. In their deep meditation, they were able to catch those pieces of knowledge. And somebody scribed them, you see, somewhere along the long course of time, isn't it? So, some things have to be revealed by Shastra, that is true. But Shastra doesn't have to be some book or something. If one is able to make one's intellect very sharp, very subtle, very pure, these are the three qualities of buddhi. Sukshma, Tikshna and Shuddha. If the buddhi has these qualities, one will just have to sit very quietly. This is how you see all great scientists and all, you know that. All our great scientists and all, they made their buddhi like this. And then they ponder on certain deep points and then Eureka! Like that. Oh, means what? It dawned. That thing is revealed. The great cosmic mind, which is suffused with all knowledge, infinite knowledge. You see? So, the great sage is telling to Rama, with your sukshma buddhi, your very subtle intellect, sukshma means subtle, sukshma buddhi, subtle intellect, then tikshna buddhi, sharp intellect, then also shuddha buddhi, with pure intellect. These, if qualities are there in the intellect, nobody need to go anywhere or do anything. Just sit quietly. No, anything is externally. Sit quietly and go within. All things will be revealed. So this Sukshma Buddhi, Rama already has. And then therefore the sage tells him that you already know everything. Now there's one, see, why is the sage telling that he already knows everything when Rama is asking all of these questions? There's nothing else to be known by you. You have known everything already. So then why is Rama asking this? So either Rama knows and doesn't know, or the sage is just speaking, is saying it in a manner of speaking, as we say. One more possibility is there, and really, because we are part and parcel of the infinite reality. We are all part and parcel of an infinite reality. Remember, there is only one reality which manifests as this diverse universe, including all of us, right? So if we are part and parcel of that one reality, it means that we have a direct access to all knowledge. The reality is of the nature of knowledge, Satchidananda. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam, the reality is. So, if I am part of that reality, but I am privy to and part and parcel of the great knowledge myself. It is not anything foreign to me or alien to me or any such thing. You see? I have access to that knowledge, which is my own self. So from this standpoint, really, we know everything already, but maybe we have forgotten. You could say like that. We have forgotten. And if we make our buddhi sharp, tikshna, we make our buddhi shuddha, pure, and finally, if we make that buddhi sukshma, subtle, then again we can tap into our own self and we'll see, really, I am the very embodiment of all knowledge. So from that standpoint also, the Upanishads also tells, that but by a very sharp and concentrated buddhi, we can know everything. Okay. Now, before this sage Vishwamitra ji passes over to Vasishtha ji Maharaj, who is there, he defines what this bondage, Rama's bondage is, because Rama is expressing signs of a bound person. This is the idea, one who is bound. So what is this bondage? In a very wonderful verse, which Bhagavan Shankaracharya took up later on in his Viveka Chudamani in detail also. See this verse. Number 2, what is bondage and what is liberation, of course, also. Vasanatanavam Rama
Vasanatanavam Rama
Moksha ityuchyate buddhaihi
Moksha ityuchyate buddhaihi
Padartha vasana dardyam
Padartha vasana dardyam
Bandha ityabhidhiyate.
Bandha ityabhidhiyate.
He says, Buddhaihi, by the wise ones, moksha iti uchyate is said to be thus. What is moksha? Well, vasanatanavam. Moksha is vasanatanavam. Moksha is the weakening or the thinning out. Weakening or thinning out of vasanas. Tanavam word is there. Tanavam is translated here as exhaustion of vasanas. The exhaustion of vasanas. This exhaustion word also causes a lot of confusion thing. Let me just tell you. Moksha, what is being said? Moksha is vasana tanavam. So just in last week's Yajna, somebody asked, well, if mukti renders all vasanas inert, then how come after liberation a sage or a saint is still attached to certain things, like after liberation or before liberation that person was attached to idli sambar. Like an example I'm telling. And after liberation still he's attached to idli sambar. So you have, this means to say that this whole thing about vasana, because what is the person's first part of his statement? Liberation, this is his exact words, liberation renders vasanas inert. That means to say that there is less understanding about vasanas and all, you see. And now here, it says vasana tanavam. The tanavam word is translated as exhaustion of vasanas. And this word also is prone to creating confusion. Exhaustion of vasanas, English word. Now this is not anybody's fault. This is just the shortcomings of language. Language has so many various types of shortcomings. Language really is just, you see, if you say cow, well, a cow, in language is a very simple word. In language it is a very simple word, easy to spell also, as opposed to a much smaller mosquito, which is a tiny thing but so difficult to spell. So now you see, language really doesn't correlate to the reality on the ground. A cow is a huge animal. A mosquito is a small animal, a small creature. And the cow is only spelled with 3 letters. Small. And mosquito? So many letters. So the idea is language really does not correlate to what is the reality. Also when you say cow, cow doesn't in any way, the word doesn't in any way tell anything about what the creature is. One will have to learn additional things. See, words really cannot capture reality. This is a very big shortcoming of words. You cannot capture what the real thing is. Anyway, so please see this now, vasana tanavam. I just want to dwell on that word a little bit with all of you. It is the weakening and thinning out of vasanas. This is moksha, to be understood. Now see, what is meant by this? Suppose you come to Trinidad, right? And one of these brahmacharis who are here, they will invariably take you to eat doubles, because doubles is the most popular street food in Trinidad, right? But you have never eaten a doubles. It is called a doubles. Anyway, you have never eaten a doubles. So when you come here and they take you, and then that doubles lands on your tongue, and then you realize that this thing is so tasty, and then you say, I'm going for seconds. I want one more. Then you have one more. And next morning when you wake up, then you tell everyone, oh, that double was so good. Are we going again today? Then you spend 1 month in Trinidad. After 1 month, you become a doubles fanatic. Now, prior to coming here, you did not even know the name doubles. Somebody introduced you to doubles, and you had one, so it left an impression on your mind. An impression. An impression is in Sanskrit is called as a sanskar. Now, that impression is not a vasana. If you go second time and third time And then that impression becomes very strong, where now you act compulsively. Means you cannot help. Like how most people compulsively they act when it comes to morning coffee. Have you seen that? Vasana. That impression started somewhere. You were not born drinking coffee. When you were a baby, you did not put coffee in the bottle and give to you. Somewhere it started. That impression, and then means that all of the vasanas which we have, it means weakening them, thinning them out, making them ineffective. They may put up a thought in our mind, they may put up a desire in the mind, but it will not be strong enough to make me act on those impressions. This is the meaning of thinning them out. Here the word which is used, exhausting them. If all our vasanas disappear, the person will not be able to act again. Will not be able to do anything. You see? So, that they are there. So I'm telling you all of this to understand this Tanavam word. Tanavam means really weakening them, making them ineffectual, making them such that they do not drive us to act compulsively. We call Vasana Tanava. And now the great sage Vishwamitra ji is saying, this is mukti. And what is bondage? This is freedom, liberation. What is bondage? Padartha Vasana Dardhyam. It means when we have strong vasanas for all padartha means worldly material things. We act compulsively, drawn by those things. Driven by the vasana, drawn to those things, or by those things. So, you see? This is called bandha, abhidhiyate. Now, this, see our Vidyaranya Swamiji, for instance, he tells, Advayananda Rupasya, Sadvayatvam cha dukkhita, Bandha Proktaha, Swarupena, Sthitir Muktiritiriyate. He says there in our Panchadashi that bondage is the Advaya Ananda reality. That reality which is non-dual, which is of the nature of bliss. That reality finding itself in a state of sorrow. And finding itself in a state of duality and sorrow. They call it bondage. Bondage is, I am the reality who has found itself in a state of duality and sorrow. Duality means that there's me and there's you. Really from the reality standpoint, there's no me and you. We are both one and same. Everything is all one. But I have a strong feeling that I am different from you. So there's you and there's me. So there's duality. And then that sorrow, which results from that duality. What sorrow? I am limited now. Apurna, incomplete, all sorts of things. The sorrow is bandha proktaha. That is called as bondage. And what is mukti? Mukti is swarupena sthiti. Staying in my own true nature. What? Advayananda rupa. Non-dual nature. Staying in that. That is called as mukti. So, there, one definition of bondage and mukti given. Here, different definition of bondage and mukti given. Don't get confused with this thing. Our Shastras is like this. It will go on telling so many various types of definitions for so many various types of things. And that is only based on the level of the student or the point at which the Rishi decides to start his lecture. You see, if I come here and I have to start my lecture on a dog, right? Well, I can start my lecture on the features of an animal which makes it canine. Now this is zoology. Immediately I start at the level of zoology, isn't it? Or I can come here and I can start dog. It begins with the letter D, and the second letter is O, and the last letter of the word dog is G. D-O-G, dog. So this I'll be talking to kindergarten children if I start like that. So if the topic is dog and I start like that, it means I'm talking to, I will not go to a university and start telling university students, well, dog starts with D. Makes no sense, you see. But if I start looking at what defines a canine species, then I'll start at a different level, isn't it? So, like that, the Shastras also deal with same topic at different levels. So here, bondage and mukti is given in terms of vasanas. In the Panchadashi, bondage and mukti is given in terms of the reality staying in its own state as Advaya, Advayananda, or the reality staying in a state of Sadvayatva, duality. If it is in a state of Advayatvam, it is mukti. If it is a state of Sadvayatvam, it is bondage. That is given there as a different level. And you see, the aim of the Rishi is to make it appeal to all people. So Vishwamitra ji is just telling about this vasana. So the one who is free from vasana, or the vasanas have become thinned out and so ineffectual, means to say, now he has control over those impressions rather than they have control over him. Then that is called as freedom. But if he is drawn compulsively by all the impressions in his mind, and there's a process by which that happens also, we shall see pretty soon. Okay, so now you see definition of bondage and liberation in terms of vasana. Okay, now here is where the sage Vishwamitra thought, but I am teaching this Rama. I am teaching this Rama. His guru is standing right there, and I am telling him about bondage and mukti and all of that thing. It is best if that guru teaches it. Not Kula Guru, VAASISHTHA Maharaj is standing there. So let me request him to do this teaching. It is more appropriate like that. So now we will see that just preceding verse number 3. You will see there where the handing over takes place. Tadanantaram Vishwamitrena Preritasan
Vishwamitrena Preritasan
Vasishtha Uvacha
Vasishtha Uvacha
Sarvada Sarvameveha
Sarvada Sarvameveha
Samsare Raghunandana
Samsari Raghunandana
Samyak Prayuktat Sarveya
Samyak Prayuktat Sarvena
Paurushat Samavapyate.
Paurushat Samavapyate.
It's a very, very nice verse. The reason is, if you see now, the sage Vasishtha, he is now speaking. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth, and please remember this, apart from all the Sanskrit which we will see just now, the first thing that comes out from his mouth in this teaching is what? Self-effort. What a big thing. And this is where all sadhakas really fall short. Many, many times sadhakas look for blessings from Bhagwan, blessings from Guru, blessings from somewhere. May somebody touch me, and may some magic, alakazam, boom, kaboom, something happen, and I see the light, and people like those type of things. And therefore you will see in many types of spiritual practices, and people go on touching, and they feel that if somebody touches me and something will happen. You see like that? And people say, but Swamiji, that works. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great sage, touched Swami Vivekananda and he got mukti. You're Swami Vivekananda or what? Now, how many Swami Vivekananda there will be in this world? One. And that is the exception to the rule. The exception proves the rule. So now see the sage Vasishtha's reply. Or words to Bhagavan Rama. Tadanantaram, thereafter, Vishwamitrena Prerita, son being prodded by or requested by Vishwamitra, Vasishtha Uvacha, great sage Vasishtha, said, Sarvada Sarvameva Iha Samsari Raghunandana Samyak Prayukta Sarvena Paushat Samavapyate. Sarvada, always, at all times, without exception. Please pay attention to it now, it's very simple Sanskrit also. Sarvam eva iha. Iha means here samsari. In this world in which we are living, He Raghunandana, Paurushat Samavapyate. By self-effort, anything is achieved. Always. Karma pradhana visvakari rakha. By karma only, all things happen. Karma is the preponderating law in the universe. Means if we don't do anything, nothing will result. Because only when we sow we can reap. So, by self-effort. And the next two words are also very, very nice words. Please see that. Self-effort, and then what? Samyak prayukta sarvena. Now, see, look here. A donkey also works very hard. The donkey works harder than the master. A donkey that carries all the load. Donkey also works very hard. So, working hard is not what we are talking about. By self-effort, that self-effort has to be very, very well thought out and directed very clearly towards a particular goal. That is the idea. Samyak prayukta means well Samyak prayukta means well directed, concentrated effort. Effort that is well directed and concentrated like that. Effort that is single pointed and all that sort of thing. Effort that has my personality yoked on. Not doing things. Yes, I'm putting effort, but my mind is not there, my heart is not there, inspiration is not there, my presence is not there. I'm doing it, mechanically, not that type of effort. And I'm doing it half-heartedly. I'm doing it with half my concentration here and half my concentration there. Now the whole world is training all people to multitask and all of that thing. This is not going to work in Vedanta. Multitasking, you're doing so many things at the same time. No. This is effort is samyak prayukta, with great, great, great concentration, deliberation. Let me see the translation. Samyak prayukta, well applied. Means me being present with the self-effort that I am now putting out, expending. So I have to be with it. So two very important points in the verse. The Vasishtha Maharaj starts with, and I told in the beginning, this is where human beings fall short in their sadhana. You please see this, not only sadhana, all aspects of life. Everybody wants to have the result, but nobody wants to do the work which justifies that result. This is how the world works. He wants to become educated without studying. He wants to become rich without working. He wants to become healthy without living a healthy lifestyle and eating healthy food. How it will happen? It can't happen. So, one has to put that Udyamena hi siddhyanti karyani namanorathaihi. The Subhashita says, only by self-effort that all things are achieved in this world, not by fanciful imagination. Nahi suptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe miraha. A deer does not voluntarily enter the mouth of a lion and let him be eaten. The lion has to get up and do something. Like this. So self-effort, very strong message from the sage Vasishtha in his opening statement. Now, since Vishwamitra ji had already started this definition of mukti as vasana tanavam, since he had already started the discourse at that level, well, Vasishtha Maharaj now picks up from there. I mean, he doesn't change the level of the discourse. He's a very, very graceful saint with deep understanding, very profound understanding, and an unimaginable capacity to communicate. If you see the saga of these two sages, at one time they were enemies. I don't think Vasishtha Maharaj was enemy. The sage Vishwamitra had many complaints about Vasishtha Maharaj. But you should see the patience and magnanimity with which the great Vasishtha Maharaj was able to bear all of the onslaught of Vishwamitra ji. In the end, both of them coming out to be great lighthouses, as it were, to guide humanity. And this is where, well, much later on in both of their lives. So now see, there is no such thing as in Vishwamitra ji's, Vasishtha Maharaj's mind, where why did he start the discourse at that level? I will change that. This is how ordinary people act. But when there is greatness in a person's mind, he thinks from all standpoints, and his greatness is exhibited in his actions and words and all of that. And see here, exactly where Vishwamitra ji had introduced the topic and at what level and whatever he was saying there concerning mukti, right there only Vasishtha Maharaj starts off. Now see, this is now number 4 and number 5. Together they are there. He continues, see. Dvividho vasana vyuhaha shubhaschaiva shubhaschate vasanaughena shuddhena tatra chedapaniyase tat kramena shubhenaiva padam prapsyasi shashvatam atha cheda shubho bhavaha yatnat jetavya eva saha. All his words are very, very sweet. You'll see how it ends in verse number 5 just now. But let us see from beginning. Dvividaha vasana vyuhaha. The vasana, all the collection of vasanas. So all of us will have so many vasanas. You have to think about your own self. Don't think about what vasana your spouse has. Don't think about what vasanas your children have, or your parents or grandparents, or, all those type of things. Think about what vasanas you have, right? And all of us will be having so many vasanas, impressions left in our mind which have become so strong that they compulsively drive us to do certain things. And if you think well, you will realize that there are numerous vasanas. Morning, one person will get up and have tea. Another person will get up and have coffee. Another person will get up and go do 5K. Another person will get up in the morning and go walk the dog. And it is like automatically we do them. We're just driven to do them by something else. So like that. Or you see your likes and dislikes, and vasanas are both. Likes and dislikes. So we have a vasana for shunning something which we dislike. The moment we see that, you get angry or something happens. Hey, why did you bring that here? No. We start a whole big kahani. Like that. Why did you bring me here? You dislike for something. Anyway, so you think about vasana. So he says, Dvividaha vasana vyuha. All these vasanas which we have, they are of two types. They can be classified into two groups. Then, shubhacha eva ashubhacha. Your vasanas can be shubha or ashubha. Good, auspicious, or evil, inauspicious. Two types of vasanas. Bad vasanas or good vasanas, like that. Simple? Yes. Now see. Vasana oghena shuddhena tatra chet apaniyase tat kramena shubhena eva padam prapsyasi shashvatam. If our vasanas are good, or good vasanas, if you want to say like this, good vasanas is like vasana oghena. Vasana oghena means the flow of or the abundance of good vasanas, like that. Ogha. Flow, abundance, preponderance of good vasanas. If it is there, then apaniyase. We are led. They take us. If we have all these good vasanas, they take us where? Slowly, gradually, to Shashvatam Padam. Shashvatam Padam means the supreme eternal state, if we develop good vasanas. So now we know that there is something called good vasanas. What is that? Where you develop a vasana for chanting the name of Bhagwan. It's a tremendous vasana. Japa. You know, our Pujya Gurudev in the 20th century was held to be the shining light of Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, right? 20th century. Till the last, I belong to Pujya Gurudev's last batch. Till the last, Pujya Gurudev still had that mala doing. See. Japa Yajnosmi, Bhagavan says. I am Japa Yajna in chapter 10. He went on doing that. Japa. We'll see him with his mala still. Look at this. That is called Gurvasana. So two types of vasanas, those which are good and those which are, of course, you know the other types. He gets money from the ATM machine compulsively and goes straight to the pub. Other person, you see? Vasana, bad vasana, ashubha, inauspicious vasana. So if our the vasanas are of two types and we have a preponderance of these good vasanas, vasana oghena, by this shuddhena, pure type of vasana, then apaniyase, we are led where? Shashvatam padam prapsyasi. We attain that state. Tat kramena shubhena eva. By this pure shubha vasanas, in gradual stages, we reach that supreme state. So then, now we see how vasana is used to define mukti, because by shuddha vasana, pure vasana, we can reach the state of mukti. Bhagavan Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, uses the same type of language. There, he describes all great qualities. All great qualities which a sadhak should imbibe. And at the end of describing all of those great qualities, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, rajam, vityadi, in that 13th chapter, you go and see. After describing all of these qualities, he calls them as jnanam. He calls them as knowledge. But Brahman is jnanam. Satyam jnanam anantam Brahma. Why he calls them as jnanam? It's the same type of knowledge. Same type of usage of language. Because these qualities lead to jnanam. The one who develops them, they lead to jnanam. So here, the sage is also defining mukti in terms of vasana. If I have the right vasana, those vasanas will lead me to mukti. That is the idea. And in the last line, very nicely he says, Atha ched ashubhaha bhavaha yatnat jetavya evasaha. And this is why I was telling you, so nicely said. See, just now what was described? This is how traditionally things are described in Shastras. Right? Just now, in the previous verse, Shubha and Ashubha Vasana was described. Okay. Means good Vasanas and evil Vasanas. Okay. Then, next verse, he says, the good Vasanas, if they are there in sufficient amount, they will lead us to Mukti, Shashvatam Padam. Okay. And if we have bad Vasanas, well, the next logical statement will, if we have bad Vasanas, they will lead us to hell. Correct? This is how it's supposed to go. The good Vasanas will lead us to Mukti, and the bad Vasanas will lead us to hell. Trividam narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanaha. But that's how traditionally it is explained in scriptures. But the sage VAASISHTHA Maharaj gives a nice twist to that traditional expression, means of expression or way of expression. What is that? He says, Atha chet ashubhaha bhavaha. If we have evil vasanas or bad vasanas, he doesn't say you will be led to hell. He says, look here, yatnat jetavya evasaha. Make effort to conquer those bad vasanas. It doesn't take the mind in that other side of going to, maybe I'll go to hell, with all of these bad vasanas. And also, again, reiterates the necessity of self-effort, which he just explained. See, yajna, by self-effort, by exerting. Jetavya, they should be conquered. What? All these bad vasanas. We should conquer them. See? Now, the nature of the effort in overcoming vasanas. Because two things are spoken about. The good vasanas will take us to mukti. And if there's bad vasanas, we should put effort to conquer them. Effort, self-effort is a very strong theme in the beginning where VAASISHTHA Maharaj starts his teaching. Now see, he explains this further in number 6. Shubha shubhabhyam margabhyam vahanti vasana sarit paurushena prayatnena yojaniya shubhe pathi. Shubha ashubhabhyam margabhyam vahanti vasana sarit. Vasana sarit means this river of vasanas flowing through all of our minds. Now, first of all, there is the mind. Every jiva's mind. Okay, means antakarana. Let's start like this now. In that antakarana, over many lifetimes, we have really cultured and fostered and engendered and protected and, grown so many different types of vasanas, and they fall into two categories: Shubha and Ashubha, good and evil. And it's this flow of vasanas through the antakarana is called as vasana sarit, the river of vasana. And they shubha shubhabhyam margabhyam vahanti, they flow in two currents, or two rivers, two channels. The vasanas flow like that in two channels. Like, there's a Y in the river. Why? I don't know why. There's a Y in the river. Coming like this. And therefore, the same person, like Marish in Ramayana, the same person who is all the time only thinking of Rama, the same person who is only all the time thinking of Rama, the same person with that chanchal mind in that Ramayana, he goes to do something to some evil act. When he's dying, he does also, hey Lakshmana, like that. He calls out in the voice of Bhagwan Ram to Lakshmana. So Lakshmana will come and help Ram, and Sita ji will be left there alone, and Ravan will kidnap her. You see? So the same person who is all the time thinking of Ram is the same person who is also now doing something evil. Two things in all lives. You'll see this thing is there everywhere. So he says, Paurushena prayatnena yojaniya shubhepati. We should try. See, two currents or two channels of these vasanas, Shubha and Ashubha in everybody's life, right? He says, by great, again Paurushena word is coming, by great self-effort. Prayatnena, personal self-effort, yojaniya shubhepati. We should try to bring our mind on the path of Shubha Vasana, means imbibe Shubha Vasana. And in a most wonderful, in most wonderful passages here, you will see Guruji has given several means: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, all the way to J. That's how many of them? 8, 9 of them. Ways to bring our mind from the path of Ashubha Vasana to Shubha Vasana. This is the first step. How many various ways to bring our mind from there. Now, all 8, 9 are given there. Being intellectually alert. Some of them are very, very important. Being very intellectually alert. What? Oh, I have this vasana. Aha. I was just sitting quietly there. I was doing nothing. Suddenly this desire came in my mind, and I got up and went out in the cold weather in middle of winter looking for ice cream. What thing is this? Who was looking for ice cream in the middle of winter? What a terrible thing. How was I driven compulsively to do this thing? Like that. So So intellectually alert and ask questions like that. Very important. By analysis. The next one. You please go and see. You should read them, because you have the text in front of you. You should read all of them. By analysis, one can get rid of, means thin out all of those undesirable vasanas and strengthen the good ones. You see, analyze. See, first of all, I have developed a vasana for this thing or that thing, right? Like, for example, one who smokes or one who drinks or whatever. We develop some type of vasana in this world, right? So by analysis, really, I've been telling myself for the last 30 years that I get joy from that thing. But is there joy in that thing or what? Let me think, analyze. Is it there or not? Maybe I've been thinking wrongly. So this type of ways you can go. Now, there is one more which I want to add to all of this here. Guruji, of course, did not mean to be exhaustive. You know that. One way to get rid of vasanas. I'll give you a real example, and then you will see. I don't know if Dr. Raghuji is listening. He's from Atlanta. But Dr. Raghuji is, and I hope he doesn't mind me giving this example also. So I was staying in his house. Dr. Raghuji was telling me one day, Raghuji, I'm thinking of giving up tea and coffee. Because I was making chai every day and he was drinking leisurely, I'm thinking of giving up chai and coffee. What do you think? I said, you don't think, you just give it up. I will also give up with you now. Like that. You have a vasana for chai or coffee or whatever, right? You develop over so long. And then just like that only. You just get up in the morning and automatically you go on making. So then I told you, I will give up also with you. Next 1 year, I will not touch it. So this way of giving up vasana is very effective. And if we have the strength, throughout the scriptures, you must have heard these words. Pratignya. Vrata. Like this type of words you've heard? Yes. Vow and oath. So taking vows is a very, very powerful way to give up vasanas. But it also has to come with intellectual alertness. Oh, I have this vasana. One has to see very clearly. Yeah, I have it. And it is of no consequence. It is like that and all. So in addition to all which Guruji has given there, taking vows is a very, very powerful thing. And you know that. Our scriptures everywhere talk about taking vows. Raghuji, long after, years after maybe, I met. He said, I gave up. I'm not taking. And then he begged me, you don't stop on my account. But he stopped. So where is vasana for chai, coffee now? Zilch. Zero. Just by that strong pratignya. Wow. Like Bhishma pratignya. It should always be for some good thing. I take a vow that I'll finish that fellow. What vow? Pratignya should always be for a good thing only. Otherwise people take vow for all sorts of things. Alright. So you add that to the list, and whenever there is anything, I have had testimony from many people who have stopped smoking or stopped drinking, and I've seen too many times. Yes. That vasana for that thing is just wiped out in a moment. When the human mind takes a very strong resolution, the resolution is like the rising of a sun in a morning when there is mist. Suddenly the mist go missing. Any mind which has brought itself to that state of very strong resolution, it will eradicate, obliterate any vasana in a moment. But the mind has to be made very strong. One gentleman just down the street here, just very close, walking distance from here, he was telling me, so I was a total drunkard. And one day, here in Christmas time, Christmas season, people drink like anything. There's one Christmas day I came home. with my bicycle, and I was totally drunk, and I put my hand on my front gate to open it, and when I held the gate, I realized how drunk I was. And a drunk man taking a pratigna, a vow, that this will be the last day that I am ever drunk. A drunk man taking that pratigna. Up till now, whenever I meet him, he tells me that story. Till this day, he has not touched alcohol. What do you think? Otherwise, he'd be drawn to that bar just compulsively like that. So this thing about taking vows, if you don't want to do all the other things also, anybody who can take a... And this man is not any big spiritual man, learned or literate or anything. My grandfather used to smoke. I used to go to buy that cigarette for him also. And then the Prime Minister read that budget in one particular year. And that tax on cigarette is called sin tax. The tax on cigarette went up by 5 cents in those days. He said, what is this? This thing has become expensive. 5 cents on a pack of cigarette. Next year, again it went up by 5 cents. He said, hey, forget it. That finished. Stop smoking. He took a vow that moment, I'll stop smoking. Never touched it again. So people can take strong vows, and of course that has had a mixture of things. Why to waste money behind something which is in the first place not good for you and all? Reflection, you see? So go on reading all of these various types of ways of vasana kshaya. Vasana kshaya means the attenuation of vasanas, or vasana tanavam, which we just saw. The same meaning. Attenuation, thinning out. Vasana kshaya, making them weak, ineffective, ineffectual and all, right? Go on reading all of them, and you adopt some of the means of the vasana kshaya, the exercise in making the vasanas weaker and ineffectual. Then, a very important thing about our Vedanta. You know, if you see Vivek Chudamani, or if you see our Gurudev's commentary on the various scriptures and all, there is something very important which they tell. The Shastras, or the various types of practices, or all the things which we use, please remember, they are all means to an end. People forget this, so we have to be reminded again and again. They are a means to an end, and you know that every means also have their place and time. You know, like for example, you take your car as a means to get to your office. Okay, this is what we say in ordinary language, but you know it doesn't work like that. You get to the parking lot of your building, and you leave the car, and then you walk into the building, correct? Or office, correct or not? You say that I took the car to the office, but really you can't take the car to the office. You can take the car part of the way to the office. At some point, in order to get to your office, you will have to leave the car. So this shows that the car is really a means, but all means have their limitations. They are limited. They can only take you so far. Well, that is true also for all sadhana, because sadhana literally means means. All sadhana is like that as well. And here, what was being taught so far? The fostering and culturing of the Shubha Vasanas. And that is a means for taking us along the path of mukti. But at some point, even Shubha Vasanas become an obstacle, and they also will have to be left. Again, in other words, the means has served its purpose. The means has served its purpose. And if we continue holding on to the means itself will be an obstacle to me reaching my goal. If I hold on to the car in the parking lot, I will not reach the office. So here, this is what is being now hinted at in this verse number 7. See this. Tatapakvakashayena nunam vijñāta vastuna shubhāpyasau tvaya tyajyah vasanadyo niradhina Shubha api asau tvaya tyajyah. This is the operative line of what I was telling you just now. Even all the Shubha Vasanas as well will have to be dropped tvaya, by you. All Shubha Vasanas also will have to be dropped by you. Now, it gives three different qualifications for that person before he or she drops all of these vasanas. What? Tata pakvakashayena. When all passions and impurities, kashaya means impurities actually. Impurities, passions, all such things, when they have become pakwa. Pakwa means cooked. Burnt up. Cooked means burnt. Now you have a proper rational and shruti praman that burning food is cooking food. Next time when you burn your food, I cooked it. Pakwa. One of the meaning. Because pakwa actually literally means cooked, but here it says burnt up. Translation is given. So anyway, when all our impurities, means what? All the bad vasanas, what we call ashubha vasanas, when they have all been fried up, cooked, burnt up, like that. That nunam vijñāta vastuna and niradhina, and when all anxieties and cares and fears and all things have gone away, and then vijñāta vastuna, and by knowing the truth, the reality, then all vasanas will have to be given. Which ones? Shubha api. Means all the Shubha Vasanas also. Well, there is one thing more to be said about this. And what is that one thing? The one thing is, really speaking, Vijñāta Vastuna. Vijñāta Vastu means when one knows. Yesterday I used this word Vastu. Word Vastu you should know by now. Vastu means that reality. Vastu word I used? The thing. Yes. I told yesterday. So, when that thing is vijñāta, known, when that reality is known, really there is no need to say tyajyah. Once the reality is known, there will be an automatic renunciation of vasana. It means thereafter the person will not be compulsively driven by any indwelling impression. Then what is the person driven by? Jivan Mukta is driven by what? Jivan Mukta is driven by Ishvara Ichha, not Swavasana. not by one's own vasana. So, the person who has given up all anxieties and cares and fears and all such nirathina, by giving up all of these things, by pakva kashayena, by the burning up of all the evil vasanas, impurities and passions and all such things which are there, led by vasana, and by knowing that reality, all good vasanas also will have to be, or will be dropped, will be relinquished. This is the idea. Not only all the what we call as the bad vasanas. Now, if that is the topic, that means to say the topic of moksha is complete. Well, no. Just by telling somebody about moksha from the standpoint of vasanas, means vasana kshaya, that doesn't mean say that the person has attained moksha. You see, the path to mukti is vasana kshaya. If you have to sum up all of what we have just seen, you'll just have to say now, this is the summary of that. What is the summary? The path to mukti is vasana kshaya, the attenuation or vasana tanavam, the thinning out or weakening, making ineffectual all the vasanas, right? This is the path to mukti. Well, various spiritual aspirants, or because we have a variety of spiritual aspirants, so also a variety of approaches are given in the Shastras. So now, just now we spoke about all the attenuation of vasanas, really. But that will, some spiritual aspirant will like that, and they will go on talking about vasanas and go on trying to attenuate vasanas and, thin them out and weaken them and all sorts of things. Some seekers will like that, some aspirants, right? But Vasishtha Maharaj knows that not everybody will like you go on in a buffet, not everybody will take the same food. Some people like this type of food, some people like that other type of food. Now here, we'll see in number 8, again mukti is spoken about, moksha is spoken about, but it is spoken about from a different standpoint. Now see, now vasana topic has been left there temporarily. See this. Moksha dvare dvarapalaha chatvara parikirtitaha shamo vichara santoshaha chaturtha sadhu sangamaha. Now, no mention of vasana altogether. Topic gone. Chala gaya. A naya topic aa gaya. What is naya topic? It says, moksha dware, at the door of moksha, there are chatvaraha dwarapalaha, 4 doorkeepers. At the door of moksha, there are 4 doorkeepers. Oho, parikirtita, it is said. Then, who are these 4 doorkeepers there? Now, this is all nice, what poetic language kind of thing. Shamaha, the first doorkeeper. Shamaha. Shama means mano nigrahaha. That didn't say anything, isn't it? Mastery of the mind. Mastery of the mind. Then vicharaha means discrimination, vivekaha, and contemplation. Discrimination, contemplation, reflection, all of this is vichar. Then santoshaha. Santosha means contentment. And lastly, Chaturthaha, the fourth, Sadhu Sangamaha. Very nice. Sadhu Sangamaha means the company of sadhu, saints, Mahatma, Sant. Sant Tulsidas ji likes that word. Sant Sangamaha means company of saints. So these are the four Dwarapal, doorkeepers of Mukti. What about Vasana just now? I told na. Naya topic aa gaya. A new topic has come. Okay. Now this new topic we shall see tomorrow. How about that? We'll see tomorrow. Okay. All right. I told you I'm going fast because we'll see how many we can finish this in this. Try to finish as much as possible. Okay, so now before the closing, let us have all announcements and all such things.